today? Good, good, good. We're glad to see you all here. My name is Dr. Khalfani. I'm the director of the Center for Global Education and Experiences and the director of the Africana Institute. And so today we're going to take a few moments to give you a little background on our experience in China, but also to talk about just study abroad, programs that we're doing on campus. And before we get started, though, we have the honor of having the new Dean of Academic Affairs, of Liberal Arts and Business, who's going to give us a few words. Welcome, Dr. Watson.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for meeting us this afternoon for this special event. I just want to send greetings to everyone from the administration, the President, Dr. Monroe, and Dr. Lee, and all the cabinet members for supporting this special initiative. I also want to thank Professor Khalfani and the academic team, the faculty, who spent time over the summer to go to China to represent Essex County College. I know by hearing from them, we will get the first-hand information and experience that they have. And our job is to listen carefully and make sure that we take the message out, not to the rest of the college members, but also to the rest of the community. Essex County College, we're here to help, to educate, to provide opportunities for people who are looking for, and we are ready for, meeting where they are. So we're embracing people coming from all over the world, and we're also hoping to take our people across the world. And this is the beginning. So thank you once again, and we are hoping to see more of these. You have our support, and I want to say God bless you for taking this out. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Watch. You'll see in the background we have some video scanning through of some of the shots we have. I'm going to turn the light down a little while so you can see that we had the light dim before. The point is that the videos give a little bit of background of some of the imagery of the classes, the places that people visited, and some of our contacts and colleagues while we were in China. We have two small groups. This is going to be a short program, but we have two groups here. We have our students who travel with us, and we have our faculty who travel with us. And so right now we're going to have our students give you a little bit of their insight about their experiences. And then also, while this is going on, there is also, you'll see that we have a newsletter that was worked on primarily by Dr. Hill and Professor Wager, and but collectively you see everybody has some commentary in there, and we want to thank Professor Jallo for doing our slides for us. So let's give them all a round of applause. So without further ado, I'll have the students introduce themselves, and they can take it from there. You guys will have a brief moment for questions afterwards.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ore Kazinso. I am one of the students who went to China. Briefly to say, I really like it. It was really an amazing experience for me to travel to China, and I was able to take classes there, and I stay together with Chinese students, meet them, and have a good friendship with them. I really like it, and it was a really amazing experience. Thank you.
Tell them what your major is.
Oh, my major is in computer science and cyber security.
Hi everybody, I'm Kyra Pereira. I'm majoring in education right now. And China definitely was a big experience for me. I never would have thought I would have ever went to China because I'm not used to seeing Asian people every day, so it was different. I like the food that I experienced, because I never ate dragon fruit, so that was really different. Yeah, and it was my first time taking a semester in such a short period of time, so at first it was really intensive, but then I got the hang of it and I narrowed down. It was great.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sultana Harrington. I just want to say Curtin College and Dr. Khalfani and Dr. Monroe for giving us the opportunity to travel to China. It was a great experience. I am also currently majoring in education. I can honestly say that China helped with my studying habits because, you know, taking 2 classes in 5 weeks was very intense, and like it was no shortcuts. Everything was like, oh, you have to get it done. And we didn't really have that much access to things as we have inside the U.S. So I can say that I was very grateful for that. I learned a lot. And I would honestly like to go back again.
So we got somebody who's interested in going back again, right? So why don't you tell the classes that you took so that they can kind of get some ideas about the courses that are available or were available, so that you can just kind of they can see what the kind of rigor and things of that nature that you went through.
Okay. For my major, I was able to take computer science 121, English 15. I was looking forward to take more classes, but due to the time that we had there, I couldn't take them all, so I was just allowed to take 2 classes.
I took effective speech and sociology. I knew that taking 3 classes in 5 weeks would be intensive, so I took 2 classes.
Yes, I also took intro of sociology and art history 102. They were very both good classes, and I can say sociology was very challenging, but I got through it.
I don't know who taught that class. Correct. So what was your most memorable experience while you were in China?
My most memorable experience in China was the way we were sitting together with the Chinese students that we met there, and the way they were really friendly and treating us, were really kind to take us out, to show us around the city, what we need to be aware of and what we need to do to be safe, you know, wherever we step. That was the most amazing thing that everything that I see come out.
What do you think about it? We'll go to Sultan.
Okay. My most memorable thing in China would have to be all the sightseeing that I did. Although I was like focusing on schoolwork and, you know, my credits, I also went to visit a lot of places like museums and, you know, getting to learn the Asian history of, you know, with the experience that we go through in China and all of their like museums and stuff was really cool to me. So that was like something that I really liked a lot.
My most memorable experience was seeing cats on beaches. That really shocked me.
So one of the things that people encounter is there's different cultural things. So sometimes you run into things that are things that you look at and you see that are completely different than what you expect here, but that you realize that they're not necessarily better or worse, but they're different, right? And in terms of your academic classes, how was that experience? Was it very different than the United States, or was it basically the same? Or how did the academics compare?
Definitely, I would say it was really different from the United States because you only have a really short time to study and you have to finish the program. At least here, we do have enough time to have all the material and the resources on our hand to do research and be prepared for the next day, but it was a little bit different. So it was really challenging for me. Somehow, I managed harder to keep up with everything.
I would have to say I agree. It was very challenging to get my schoolwork done, but it just pressed me because I didn't have as much access to get my work printed. So I was walking to the printing shop every day, so it just pushed me. So it was definitely different.
I would say that it was very different because I didn't have Google, so I was stressing a lot without Google. I didn't know what to do. They used Bing for everything, so I was like losing my mind. I had to make different email addresses. I couldn't even use my school email address. So it was stressing me out a lot. And then like Kyra mentioned, like walking to the printing shops, we didn't have like like how we have here, you can go to the lab and print things out. You have to walk to the printing shop and make sure you're on time before your class. So it was a lot.
Any kind of closing thoughts you want to share with the audience? Anything you want to say in closing? We're going to invite the faculty up now.
Well, to finish this, I would say to everybody who's present here today that Chinese studying abroad is really amazing. And I'm looking forward for more opportunity to go next time to anywhere where the school will send me, and I'm willing to go to try my best and to show the best of myself as well. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just want everyone to know that, like, you know, study abroad is a great opportunity. You can learn a lot of things. It's very great for something to have on your resume. It's something that you'll just have a great experience, like a vacation. You're getting credits all in one. You can go to China, you can go anywhere. So just go to Dr. Khalfani's office and, you know, ask plenty of questions about, you know, studying abroad. We've done a lot of programs with it, and I just, you know, really recommend everyone to do it because I'm going to do it again, so you should do it too.
Let's give them a round of applause. Before they depart the stage, does anybody have any questions for students? We'll take one question before we bring the faculty up. Yes, all the way in the back.
Yes, I want to know, did you go through any restrictions being in a foreign land like that? I imagine there was a lot of restrictions as far as movement. We can move through the United States so freely, but can you all have that same freedom there in China?
We have freedom, but at the same time, we have to be mindful that we were inside another country. So, like, some things that we did in the United States, we couldn't do there. And also, they're a very modest country, so we just have to be very mindful about that also. So it's not like home with the freedom. You can't just say anything because you never know what somebody may know. So it's just always about being mindful.
Thank you.
All right, once again, let's give them another round of applause.
Another question?
Oh, another question? I'm sorry, let's see. Yes. Dr. Clark.
My question is, when I went to Africa, one of my most enjoyable and memorable visits was when I got a chance to meet the families. Did you get a chance to go to any particular family's home and speak to anybody from in the community?
I would say that me particularly, I had a chance to go to some family house and to the Chinese students, and they were really nice. You know, some of them were really mentioning, this is my first time seeing a different skin color people in this country, and they treat me really well. And that day, I was invited to a free lunch, which was really nice for me. And the next day they say, we do not do like a family, so feel free to come here anytime you want.
That was great. And how about the people on the street? Did they greet you, or did they notice you, or what?
Yeah, they took a lot of pictures of us. Yeah, they noticed us.
That's great. That's
They
great.
noticed us a lot.
Yeah, that was something.
Thank you.
All right, last question. Yes.
What about the language barrier? How did that affect you as English speaking students, the language barrier in China?
It was challenging, but before we traveled to China, Dr. Khalfani told us to download like Google Translate, so you could use it a lot, and that was honestly like my best friend. And also hanging out with a lot of the Chinese students, they would like translate a lot of things for us. And if you believe it or not, like when you go to a lot of restaurants, there are a couple of Chinese people who do know English. They may not know a lot, but they know a little bit, and they were like very helpful with that as well. So it wasn't as challenging.
And all the instruction was in English.
Okay.
So that all the classes were. What's that? The subway. Oh yeah, the subway. Yeah. What about the subway? He said like the subway the most. What about it?
Yeah, well, the subway is really different from the subway that I see around here. The instruction in the subway is in Mandarin and in Chinese. really clean, and they have a rule and regulation. They have to follow for stepping subway. You have to be paid down for any hazard material or any liquid or carrying. Has to be taken away from the stepping subway. That's the most thing I like a lot. I really like that.
Yes. I'm gonna have to make it quick. Last question.
Just one question for you, Dr. Khalfani. Where
Yes.
is your office located?
Okay, my office is located right in the Africana Institute. So I run both the Africana Institute and the Center for Global Education. So if you come right around next to the Learning Center, you can come to my office.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. There is a sign-up sheet going around for students who are interested in traveling to China and or abroad. Please make sure you put your name and information on there. And there's a sheet for faculty if you're interested in teaching abroad. We're going back to China. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we can fill out that as well. Once again, thank you all very much. Please, can the faculty join us on stage? So, you'll see now our illustrious faculty who traveled with us. We also had 3 faculty people who were from around the globe who also taught with us while we were in China. But the bulk of us were here. We taught classes that we normally teach and or maybe a little stretch while we were in China. And, we used all the curriculum was Essex County College curriculum. They came from our course outlines. So all the information, all the things were provided by that. I want to say also while I'm doing this that we had great partnership with folks who were at our partner, which was JNC, but also here at the college we had a lot of support on the back end from Dr. Monroe, from the deans, from the enrollment management department, from all the different offices. We had assistants and to make it all possible. Also, lead Dr. Villa DeCosta was on point. She also helped to help set some things up, keep the classes, get the students registered, and add drop and all that stuff. So we had a lot of things going on. So we want to thank all of those folks who also helped to make this possible. But first of all, first and foremost, I want to go down the line here, and we're missing a couple of people who weren't able to make it here today, but we want to take what we have, and we're going to thank everybody, but we want to introduce themselves and say what their courses they taught. So we'll start with you. There's a fly floating around here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nancy Hill, Professor Nancy Hill. I'm in the Humanities Division. I taught English 109, effective speech, English 105, technical writing, and English 215, modern literary masterpiece.
Nina, I want to speak Chinese here. Good afternoon. My name is Seta Pugaza. I'm at the business division, and I was teaching in Shanghai. Everybody was in Chengdu. I was the only one in Shanghai teaching money and banking. And I know that, money, because of money, people will do almost anything. And money can do almost anything for people. In addition to that, I was teaching also principle of economics, one, macroeconomics, the study of the economy as a whole. And then I was also teaching principle of economics, two, microeconomics, like the study of the economy in like a small scale with ECC at the Shanghai International Study University. Thank you.
Hello, I'm a Professor Patel. I teach computer science in the mathematics and computer division. In Chengdu, China, I was teaching C++, the computer language, and also statistics, the math course. The same courses that we do teach here at Essex County College.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pavi Jallo. I'm also a member of the business division. This summer I had the opportunity to teach 2 courses in Chengdu, macroeconomics as well as microeconomics. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Professor Jennifer Waker, and I run the digital media programs here at ECC and teach in those programs as well as teaching in the humanities division. In China, I taught the 2 history courses, U.S. history and world civ.
And also, in addition to running the program, I taught 2 courses as well. I taught Introduction to Sociology, and I taught the Comparative Religion course. And so we had we had a total of 19 courses that we taught over the summer. Classes, a couple of art classes. Professor Nadia taught Lavelle taught the classes. She taught calculus and another math class. Did you teach physics or she taught? And she taught physics. And we had a psychology class and a philosophy class. So we had a wide gambit, a wide array of courses that were available. And I think it was a great experience. We had, in addition to the students you've seen here, there's other ECC students that participated, but we also had a group of over 50 students from China who participated, and those students, the way that their participation was primarily is that they are full-time students studying in various places throughout the United States and Canada, and then during the summer, there's over 100,000 students in the who study in the United States and Canada who go home to China, and they want to take classes that can benefit them when they go back to their colleges in the States and Canada. And so that they are taking classes, they got ECC credits, they got ECC transcripts, and then those students have the opportunity to go to take those classes, and then they'll go from here to wherever take those credits wherever they went to school. The largest majority of our students came from Penn State University. We also had students from the University of Toronto and a wide variety of other schools. I believe there's even one student who's at Rutgers. All these students were in China over the summer, but they were here with us. They were with us in China, but they're here normally in the United States. So I want to just have each person to say a word or two about your experiences, the things that you thought were that made your experience both either unique and or something that you had to bring to the table that you didn't anticipate, academically and groups.
Academically, we all know the professionalism of our professors here and their work ethic. So we took these qualities with us to China. And I dare say that we did a phenomenal job. All of us worked diligently, and the students appreciated us indeed. For my classes, some of them got a late start, but as time progressed, they really understood where we were coming from or where I was coming from as a professor to impart knowledge, and so that they can take this knowledge to their various colleges in the United States and Canada. So that was a goal that I accomplished.
Thank you so much. Yes. My experience in China, I had such a great experience in China with Essex College. And, my students, they were hardworking, they were very, very diligent, respectful. And I was amazed when I put them in groups to work on a project they gave me their best. They gave me their best, and even interacting with people in China, and I realized that people in China, they are hardworking and more entrepreneur. And my students, some they were actually applying, especially money in banking, finance, what I was teaching them. One was a young investor, 18, I think 18, and he was investing in stock. And even some they were trying to find a way how they can invest even to buy bond. And some even they were working with their parents, working to help the parents with their business. So my experience in China was great, and I learned a lot from Chinese people, from their culture and from their experience.
Okay, my experience in China, first impression and the best I could recall right away is they respect teachers very highly. It was very respectful, we were very respectful. The students were very challenging. One of my computer science students had apps running in Android. He made his own apps. So they were very challenging students, very clever, very disciplined. And I also learned a lot from these students. I'm pretty sure our Essex County College students also have learned a lot from these Chinese students. It was a very positive experience, and as far as the academic goes, I think global experience that I gained by teaching in China, it was very positive.
Thank you. I'll also share my experiences in a number of ways. I think Professor Patel just touched on the area of cultural sensitivity. Generally, Chinese students are very shy, so they're not very responsive in the classroom. I think what made the difference for us was the inclusion of ECC students into our classrooms, and I had the fortune of having ECC students in both of my courses, and that really elevated the experience, the classroom experience for both Chinese students as well as ECC students. It also confirmed my belief in terms of youths around the world. The fact that they're interested in globalization, the fact that they each have the same interests as youths in China as well as youths in the United States and young people in other parts of the world. They all have the same objective, and that's connecting with each other. And as future leaders of the world, it makes sense for ECC to lead this effort being there this last summer, and hopefully moving forward. Youths in China have the same habits, the same consumer habits like our students here, our young people here. They want to buy Nikes, they want to buy Reebok, they like iPhones, they want to listen to Jay-Z and Beyonce. It's really worldwide, and that expectation was really confirmed. But also it confirmed my belief that given the opportunity, our ECC students can compete anywhere, whether it's academically, being innovative, being in a position of taking leadership roles. They certainly can do that, and I confirmed that in my courses, where I divided the students into groups. They have team presentations throughout the course of the summer. And I saw how our students actually took the lead and helped expand the experiences of Chinese students who originally were very shy in terms of their participation in the classroom. And our students, ECC students, took the lead and exposed them to research skills and presentation skills. So that was very helpful. Our students were able to compete with students that attend Penn State and Rutgers and University of Nebraska, Ohio State University, University of Toronto. So it's worldwide, really, if you look at what our students went through in such a very short time span and a very rigorous environment. So that confirmed, again, my belief that our students can do well anywhere if given the opportunity. Through this initiative, I think ECC has really placed itself squarely in the discussion about globalization and what we can do. We each have the same interest in terms of globalization and expanding our consumer base. China has 1.4 billion people. It's an economy that we could not avoid. We have no choice but to find a way to become part of that group. Companies in the United States need consumers in China, just like Chinese companies need consumers here in the United States. So expansion and working to take advantage of the fact that Chinese people want American products. If you go to McDonald's or Starbucks or any of the other US-based companies that exist in China, there are lines and lines of people wanting to consume American goods. Finally, in terms of the future, I think sustainability is a desire for Chinese economy as well as the United States economy. Sustainability in terms of resources that we all need, scarce resources around the world. And then for our companies here, sustainability of the consumer pool, so finding a way to become part of the push for globalization and for getting our businesses to do well worldwide. So it's really a great experience for me, and I think my students solidified that in the 5 weeks that I was there.
I just want to echo what Professor Jallo said about ECC students really being leaders in the classroom. They were able to, share, of course, their experiences with the Chinese students, but also help them in terms of kind of coming out of their shell and participating in class in a way that the Chinese students will face and are facing in the U.S. Academic classrooms that they're in now. It was also really, it was kind of nice. My TA and several of my students are students at Ohio State University, which is, I'm an alum of that school. So it was nice to be able to connect even halfway across the world with current students of that school, and also to build bridges between ECC and Chinese educational institutions. Education is a very important part of Chinese culture, and it was really amazing, especially teaching the history courses, to see how proud Chinese students are of their history and sharing it with other students, and not just in the classroom, but out in the streets of Chengdu. We were able to visit several historical sites nearby that could stretch back 5,000, 10,000 years. So that alone was worth the trip. But education in China is so highly valued that roughly, I think, about 25% of a Chinese family's income, disposable income, is spent on education. So 25% of their income is spent on education. That's in addition beyond their public schooling, right? Their access to public education. So that shows you the value that China puts on education, and Chinese, especially working class people, put on education as a means of advancing their families, their communities, and their society. So I think that's something that ECC can further explore in terms of developing and deepening our relationship with the partners that we've already encountered in China, specifically around how we can take the amazing education that we have here at ECC and bring it all around the world and make those connections and build those bridges.
I think that's a great segue, because I want to also mention that this program is a continuation of what I've been doing with the Africana Institute since really 2008, when we took our first trip to South Africa. So we went there, Dr. Yamba went with us, Dr. White went with us, Dr. White, former dean, she went with us to South Africa, she went with us to Ghana. So this really whole initiative is building on that. We also went to Cuba. And so here this time, though, it was much more entrenched in the curriculum. Whereas the other trips, the students who went with us, they had the opportunity to take classes, but they were independent study classes. So we had, in each of our other trips, we always had students who took classes, but they were independent studies. Here, the students actually were there long enough, even though it was brief, throughout that 5-week period where students actually took regular classes in a very condensed format. So it's no more condensed than our regular summer session. But here we have students who were, as it says in your newsletter, 12 hours, actually the flight was 14, and 7,500 miles away from home. And so they had to, in the context of that, find the wherewithal within themselves to stay grounded. And I think that, and finding the resources that were necessary, because the resources are going to be different, and which they were in terms of internet access and other things. But I think they all stepped up to the table, both the faculty, all of us, as well as the students, because we all had to face our different kinds of challenges throughout the process. But that the point is that in that kind of exchange, that there's really, when you are prepared, that you use your preparation to help you to do the things necessary to be successful. And I would suggest to you that we were very successful in that endeavor, and that this endeavor, we are taking another trip in another experience next year. We'll be back in China for another 5 weeks. We are still assessing whether it's going to be after that, but we will be there for another 5 weeks. So those of you who are interested, whether you are watching this online or you are here in the audience, we want you to know that there are many other opportunities to travel, and that we will be creating more opportunities. This is one. I'm in conversations now with some folks in different parts of Africa to do trips, and study abroad trips. We had, this year alone, we had a student in Germany, we had a student in France, and we had a student in Brazil. And then we had two students last year applied for the Gilman Fellowship. They weren't successful, but they began the process. We have one more student this year who applied for the Gilman, and we're trying to get a student who's going to get a Gilman Fellowship, a scholarship. The Gilman Scholarship is a study abroad scholarship. It offers the possibility for students to get $5,000 to travel abroad. For many trips, that will cover their total expense with some spare cash. Some of the trips are much more expensive, and it will cover part of it. So we're looking to partner with different organizations to create opportunities for students here at Essex County College to be able to expand their horizon. The objective for me in running both the Africana Institute and the Center for Global Education is to create the opportunity for students to realize that they are the next leaders of the world. Not just the leaders here in New Jersey, but the leaders of the world. And we want to prepare them for the foundation that they need to be able to take the lead in that regard. We all are, at some point in time, going to retire. So somebody needs to be the director of the various offices, the dean, the vice president, the president. And it would be great to have ECC students to take all those positions, both here and other places. And so then the wider your horizon in terms of your thinking, the greater your ability to impact the world in the things that you do. I always say, think globally and act locally. And I think studying abroad gives you a great foundation in doing that. I want to both open it to some questions, but to see if there's anything else that you all had wanted to say before I open it to questions. Okay, so we'll open it up to the audience. Anybody have any questions for our illustrious faculty? Yes, there's 1, 2, 3.
I don't know, did we mention that Professor Patrick went to Florida County?
We did mention that there was other professors who were here. There's 2 other professors, Professor Patrick and Professor Lamar. So
I wanted to mention the county was in the house.
she's a county professor. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How did you find the use of the currency as compared to here over there?
Good question.
Roughly it's $1 to 7. What's that?
Yeah.
RMB. They use RMB. So 1 to 7 ratio. We had some The first time I went to China first time, but the day I landed, I had the exchange at the airport, and then we went to bank a few times to do the exchange. We also used ATM to withdraw the money, and that was not an issue to do anything like that.
Yes, just to add to what Dr. just said, China is a cashless society. One thing you should know, in China, they use less cash. Because in China, I didn't have a bank account, I was carrying like a lot of cash on me. I went sometimes to the mall to buy something, people were looking at me with so much cash. And they use mostly the cell phone. They have an app called Alipay. So with the Alipay, you link it to your bank account and you can do all kinds of transactions. Even I went to the cafeteria to buy something, you have to have an Alipay. They don't even accept the cash over there. So you go there and you have the item, you have to scan. You scan the item, they say to you, Santouche, and then at the same time, you pay. So China is in advance compared to us. We use more cash here, but in China they use less of cash. I think it's a part of the culture now. And I think if we help also like to gather information, because people are saying China is a type of police state, and also to reduce fraud, I think, doing that. So this is something we can learn from China, because I was teaching money and banking again. Because of money, people will do almost anything, right? Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I see the other hand. On the cash issue, they use another one. The most common one, I think, actually is WeChat, which is similar to WhatsApp. And in using WeChat, one of the things that it's even street vendors don't use cash. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, whether it's taking the bus or going to the grocery store, or like we have vendors that come here to the college. Every single one of those vendors would have had an app machine, and you use your phone. They almost look at us strange when we come out with cash because they don't use it. Because very rare did I see Chinese people with cash in hand. And it doesn't matter their socioeconomic status even. All the places we work, they used WeChat for the most part, and the other app I mentioned, and they scanned, and that's how they changed currency. That's how they had their exchange for services and money. There was a hand up top, and then a hand over here. Yes. Yes.
Did you, two parts to my question. Number one, did you give out grades? And the second part of that is, how did the American students compare to the Chinese students as far as the average was concerned?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the grades, these were regular Essex County College courses. So the grades were the exact same as any student taking any class. These were regular Essex County College courses, regular curriculum. There was nothing different in that regard. And I think that the spread, as I recall, was average about the same across the board, that the U.S. students and the Chinese students did equally well. Because you have to remember that the Chinese students are U.S. students. They study at U.S. universities across the board. So a handful that were from Canada. I think there was one student who was studying in Europe also, but all the rest of them were in colleges across the United States. And so their experiences really were, their grades in the grading process, they all got transcripts from here. So both the ECC students and the other students got transcripts from here. And I do want to mention one thing is that for the first pilot part of this program, that all the ECC students got to go to class for free. They had scholarships for all of their courses. They got scholarships for their travel, and so they had to cover their room and board and other expenses.
Everybody passed?
Yeah, they all passed. We can't talk about individual student grades, but student grades. So the point hard work for both the Chinese and the ECC students, but all in all, they all did well. Last question, and then I have.
Yes, I have a question. Well, given the financial about Chinese culture, because my older niece married a man from China, so some of my family members are Chinese. And with that being said, I'm just curious, when you were in China and you need to do your research on the internet, did you ever require the necessity of the internet? Because I heard that in China, they lack certain internet websites because of politics and things like that. And since you go through there and you need to do whatever it is you do and access the internet, did you have any issues in accessing the internet? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
So, yeah, I think instead of, I mean, yes, that's true that certain US, like Google in particular, is blocked in China, although there's something called a VPN that you can use to access those sites. But so we think of it as blocking, and it is, but at the same time, it's more like a parallel universe. So they have their own technological systems that in some cases are actually much more advanced than the US. So they're already rolling out 5G, for example, cell phone service. In the US, we're quite behind on that. They have their own versions of everything, whether it's Google or Amazon or whatever. So when you're talking about a market of 1.4 billion people, right, and it's not just that market because China is also expanding throughout the world with the Belt Road Initiative, that it's really kind of a parallel technological universe. So there are certain things that you can't get access to, but they have their own versions of it. So I actually found I still have WeChat on my phone, which I find very helpful to stay in touch with students back there. So it is something that you can adapt to. It was a challenge to not use Google products for 5 weeks, but we all survived. And I think we're better for it because we got exposed to a different technological system that a significant majority of the world's population is using and will be using in the future. So if we don't know that different technological universe, if we're not aware of it or have experience with it, we're actually kind of hurting ourselves and our students. So that's my response to that.
Okay, we'll take one more and then we have to wrap up.
Go ahead. Since I'm in technology, I use the technology, we all use the technology that we have download apps that translate from English to Chinese and back to English, and that's how we communicated. So that was very, very useful. Of course, the Google is blocked, Facebook is blocked, there are no Ubers, so there are challenges, but we always came across the challenges and we were fine. We were navigating everywhere. So one of the biggest challenges I think I had was the language. Once you're out of the classroom, there's no English. Everybody speaks Chinese. But the apps really translate back and forth. That was a good one.
Thank you. And the food was delicious. I like spicy food. They had a lot of spicy food. Some of them it was a little too hot for, but for me it was perfect. Let's give our faculty a round of applause. So also in congratulating our faculty, I have some certificates signed by myself and Dr. Monroe, and I'd like to offer to each one of them, so if they can each come up. Professor Pavi Jallo. We're going to all take them, come over here, we're all going to take them together. Professor Daxi Patel. Dr. Nessie Hill. Professor Jennifer Wager. And Professor Fugaza Seder. And in absentia, we have two others for our other faculty. And Professor Fugaza wasn't in Chengdu with us, but he represented well in Shanghai.
Where are yours? You don't have
I'm not going to give myself a certificate. Okay, I'll send you one. All right. All right, well, first of all, I want to thank all of you. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. And I want to let you know that we will be doing this again as we get to China or whatever else we're going to be doing. The newsletter, if you want to take a couple with you to your office, to some of your colleagues or friends. China for next year is upcoming. We're going to be in China probably the 29th of June. And so we're going to finalize that within the next 30 days, and we'll have that information for you. If you have any questions, please feel free. My contact information is on here, and you can reach out to us. And for those of you online, you can reach me. I'm Dr. Khalfani at Khalfani, that's Khalfani at Essex.edu. I'm sure it'll be on the Chiron. Tell somebody else about it. We're going to be going other places. We're going to have great experiences. And thank you for joining us.